a Jesuit priest. I would love to hear a whole show on the Vatican. Maybe Eric John Phelps would be a guest. I know that.
But here's the problem. Here's my problem. Okay, Phelps has said things about me that just aren't true. And see, that's what I'm saying is that, and I appreciate your call, is that people make up these faux controversies. That's what I'm saying. Alex Jones works for Israel because he doesn't hate Jews. And, then they Photoshop, me at a Jewish wedding and stuff. I mean, it's just, when I have Jewish friends, it's all the infighting that Cass Sunstein talks about generating when he was the regulation czar, well, still is that it just falls into this mindlessness where I've been told by people, you will come out against the Vatican and say it's the devil and the only problem, or we'll expose you for working for them. Well, I don't work for the Vatican. So people that say, do what we say, we're going to have an inquisition of you, it's just another form of tyranny. So that's what and Israel tries to play people off, some of the Israel lobby, and make it all about the Vatican. And the Vatican, under the table, does stuff blaming it all on Israel. Well, I'm not in an Israel-Vatican fight. I'm not in a black-white fight or a black against cop fight. I'm here to promote liberty. I'm here to promote freedom. I'm here to promote ideas of free market and private property and freedom of religion, where you got freedom and I got freedom, as long as you don't infringe on my freedom or I don't on yours. It comes down to that. That's what I'm trying to get at. Let's go ahead and talk to Cupcake in Maryland. Then we'll talk to Denise, Eleanor, George, and others to see if we have any questions for our guest. Go ahead, Cupcake.
Well, hi there, Dollface. How are you?
I'm all right.
All right. I've got a question for Doug and Joe.
Go ahead.
And, you can chime in, but I've read a series of articles this past week from Dave Hodges addressing the EMP threat. And I'm wondering how y'all feel about that, what your sources are telling you, how likely that is. And also my second question is, have you felt a significant shift, almost a paradigm shift in just the last couple of weeks?
All right. Well, I'll give you my take and then theirs. I'm worried about a Carrington event from the Sun, not so much a foreign EMP attack. An EMP attack is something the globalists might pull. Guys, give us your take.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I've talked to Dave Hodges a number of times this past week, the last 10 days, about his articles. Our viewpoints differ a little bit. While we see an EMP as being a possibility to take down the grid, it more than likely, at least in our view, based on what we've researched, it would happen perhaps at a later time, after things have been after we've been really raped, pillaged, and robbed here in the States. So that could come later.
So that's more of a coup de grace after they've already sucked us dry, deindustrialized us, had a civil war.
Right, barring, of course, like a Carrington type of an event, because there's much more wealth here for them, the globalists, to take. So they don't want to destroy us before they take everything from us. That's kind of my viewpoint.
That's right. A spider wants to suck all the juice out before he cuts the bug loose.
Yeah. I agree.
Let's skip this network break so we get lots of calls in here and go right to the bottom of the hour with our guest. Thank you, Cupcake. Let's talk to Denise in FEMA Region 5. What former state are you calling in from?
FEMA Region 5, Minnesota.
All right. Well, welcome to the airwaves.
Thank you. Listen, I pray for you every day, Alex.
Thank you, sweetheart.
Pray for your safety and your family.
Well, believe me, I need it, so thank you.
Don't we all? I mean, we all do. Here's my question. I am wondering what's going to happen in 2015 because of the new lawsuit that's coming out against the gun manufacturers in the Sandy Hook case. And the reason I say that is...
That should open up discovery of how fake it is. Great point. Go ahead.
There was a movie out with Gene Hackman and John Cusack, and it was called Runaway Jury. And it was a great movie, and it was about a gunman who went in and shot up an attorney's office and killed a bunch of the attorneys in the office. And what the wife of one of the injured people did was ended up going back and suing the gun manufacturer. And the movie goes into a great amount of how corrupt our whole judicial system is, and how they paid off jury members and all this kind of stuff. And I remember Wolfgang Halbig said one of his reasons for questioning Sandy Hook was nobody was suing. None of the parents were suing like they did in
That is a super question. You get the gold star, I think, for the best question of the day out of a lot of excellent ones. Hagmann and Hagmann, give me your take on Sandy Hook and what this new lawsuit against Bushmaster means.
I'll just chime in here first. I think, Alex, I think you hit the nail on the head. Of all of the criminal and civil trials we've been involved in, the key here is going to be the discovery phase. Let's see what that brings, if it even gets to that point. If it's not, if the government doesn't step in, or the powers step in to say no, you're not going to go there, or they put up, they quash the entire process. But I think it's an excellent point. The discovery is going to be key in revealing things yet unrevealed.
Yeah, and Sandy Hook. I think I'm not sure if it was you or another news agency that reported the FBI statistics of murders in 2000.
Well, the FBI's own site said none in that town. Yeah.
I mean, and other examples were shown that they counted the massacre in Aurora and those victims in their statistics, and other situations that took place. But Sandy Hook has been a big mystery for me, because there's so much, I think, not only disinfo but planted disinfo, or leading people down certain roads of seeking that was done intentionally. I think.
Sure. What do you guys think of Halbig? I mean, he was a big, successful, famous school safety guy. Wrote the book on a lot of it. All I know is I saw Cooper with blue screen out there, green screen. I know I saw the kids doing fake, rotations in and out of the building. They tore it down. All the unprecedented gag orders. The police in anti-terror outfits in the woods. Then they denied that that'd been in the news. I mean, something's being hidden there. You guys are on the East Coast. You have a lot of sources. What do you really think happened?
Well, Alex, what really happened, I don't know. But I'll tell you what we do know, and I can speak for Joe on this, and you can speak for himself, obviously. But what we do know is the original, or the official narrative, is not what really happened. I mean, look at the behavior of the coroner when he came out. That really struck me as being just the medical examiner there on scene, and being a blood spatter analyst myself, and working with coroners, working with police, working with the prosecutors. I've never seen anything quite like that in my life.
Yeah, and we talked about computer generated and false news reports. I think this was a pilot, possibly, and I'm not saying that the event didn't happen, or it definitely didn't happen the way they reported it to, but I think this was one of the initial ways that they're learning how to manipulate news coverage.
Very astute. That's what I said a few weeks into it. I said they may have killed real kids, but they're practicing how to propagandize and how to control the press, and how to put out a product that's a fraud. When I just saw the heavy scripting, that was what was so clear. And then the parents laughing, and then 1 second later doing the actor breathing to cry. I mean, it's just over the top.
Agreed. Yep.
Over the top sick. And we know they've staged other stuff before. I mean, they built fake villages and then didn't declassify it for about 5 years for Queen Elizabeth to visit in Africa.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of this, Alex, I got to tell you, to me, and this is a subject for another day, of course, but if you look at the satanic ritual sacrifice abuse of these psychos in power, and I mean, obviously that's another topic for another time, but just look at that as an overlay of what happened.
Well, just this week they've had in witchcraft deals 2 different dead kids this week, and then every time we talk about it, they go, "Shut up! The occult doesn't kill kids." Well, it has throughout history.
Absolutely.
So there's also this institutional cover-up of child abuse, not just in the Catholic Church, but across the board.
Absolutely. Yeah. And this, we have to figure this in as a variable here too. These are called high holidays and such. I mean, there's just so many aspects to this, but that was a great question indeed.
I mean, we had a 10-year-old boy mutilated and murdered just this week in a witchcraft ceremony. There was another one. I mean, this is going on, and then every time we raise it, we get attacked. I'm just reporting. This stuff goes on, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Denise. Excellent questions. Eleanor in Missouri, you're up next. Go ahead. Thanks for holding.
Hi, thank you, Alex and Doug and Joe Hagman, for being who you are. I just had a comment about the false flags and how they're staged and how they're done so badly these days. There's a guy by the name of Ole Demengard who talks about this and how it's all, even they even choose certain colors for certain false flag events to propagandize the public and get them, it's just like what Doug and Joe Hagman were saying. It's ritual magic that they use. And then the second thing was that I've been seeing shortages in the food stores, too, what Steve Quayle was talking about before. And I'm just wondering about how these food riots are, like, where they're going to come in.
Well, there are record food shortages worldwide. And when that happens in a third world country, you get mass rioting because half the discretionary income goes to food in most third world countries. And America is seeing massive food price increases. Hagman, which one of you wants to take that question?
Yeah, look at Venezuela and how the government had to start rationing the citizens buying groceries from stores. Only certain citizens were allowed to buy, I think it was a 7-day worth of food at a time, and they're waiting in line for hours. I think we saw the huge drought in California. There is a culling or a shortening of the herd, and they're thinning the population through these different, genetically modified foods. From that to taking the nutrients and the important minerals out of the food.
And as you said, everything we've seen so far is only beta testing.
That's right.
But you can see it all lining up globally towards the next big phase. That's what we've got to basically discredit, sabotage, and expose peacefully as much as their operation as we can, because what it can't survive is exposure, in my experience.
Yeah, exactly. And I think what we're seeing here with the food shortages today, the ground beef at $4.20 a pound, highest on record. I think in this particular case, and in certain cases here, I think what we're seeing are the birth pangs of a larger economic and food supply disruption that that will happen. That's my view.
Absolutely. Thank you, Eleanor. And again, here we're so spoiled on average, it's not as big a deal. But in third world, it's life and death. But ground beef being at record prices, or beef, poultry at record prices across the board, is a microcosm of everything. Record amounts of ranchers are going out of business because of regulations and fines and control. The big three meat packers shut down all the small operators with federal regulations the last 20 years. There are no real stockyards anymore that have real auctions. They still have them, but it's only a few major bidders there. So record beef prices, but the beef producers are going out of business. That shows how a rigged crony capitalist system is one of the worst you can live under, the opposite of a free market.
It's economic tyranny. It's slavery at its finest, or at its best, or worst, whatever you want to call it.
Gentlemen, we're out of time. We got George in Connecticut, Robert, Dan D. I'll get to them coming up after you're gone. But you got about a minute and a half for any other key intel you want to put out there for folks.
I'll take 30 seconds of that. I'll tell you what, Alex, what we've been looking at here very closely is watch Syria, watch the Middle East, watch the geopolitics of the Middle East, watch the small arms trade treaty here in this country. Obviously, you've covered that, or how it will affect the massive gun administration. The key thing here, over everything that we're looking at, is the killing off of the U.S. dollar. That's the ultimate goal, the balkanization of America, following behind it through the massive illegal immigration and the blanket amnesty.
Yeah, and I believe that, this 2015 coming up, as I stated earlier, as read from so many of the mainstream news sites, that 2015 will be the year of the hacking, the cyber insecurity, as they call it. I would definitely keep my eyes on that and how that plays into their objectives. As you pointed out, we are slaves under an economic and tyrannical, political, authoritarian type system. And just look for them to continue to push buttons and try to pull strings of the hearts of the American people to shape the agenda and shape the world events in the way they want them for the reactions that they want. And we have to take a step back. Every time we see something big happen, we have to take a step back and analyze it before we start trying to jump to conclusions or fitting pieces in.
Exactly, and that's what I'm going to cover next. Obama creates the truth of it on his own agenda. LouRockwell.com asks why. I'm going to break that down, take your calls, talk to John Bound and more. Gentlemen, thank you so much for spending time with us.
Thank you, Alex. Very good.
Hagmann and Hagmann.com, that's their site. We're Infowars.com. Stay with us.
We're on the march.